two main styles of knitting, and in this video I'm going to show you the Continental method. Normally I knit English method. However, I find it useful to be able to do both, especially when I'm working a Fair Isle pattern and I need to have one color of yarn in my left hand and one color of yarn in my right hand. This is also a great method if you are left-handed. Since knitting does use both hands, this might be a great option for you rather than trying to switch all the right-handed patterns. So for Continental knitting, you're going to wrap the working yarn in your left hand. So I wrap it around my pinky once, under my two middle fingers, and over my index finger. I hold the stitches here in my left hand, I like to slide them up to where they're fairly close to the tip. With my right hand needle, I'm going to insert my needle into that first stitch. I use my middle finger to hold onto this strand of yarn. I use my index finger to control this yarn that I'm working with, and then I use my right index finger as I work the stitches onto my right needle. So for the knit stitch, we're inserting our needle into that stitch, and then we're grabbing that piece of yarn and pulling it through the loop. We're going to slide the existing stitch off. So I'm going to go in through that loop, pick up the piece of yarn back here, and pull it through that loop. So you're inserting from bottom to top, grabbing the piece of yarn to pull it through, and slide the existing stitch off. Notice that I'll continue to keep moving my right index finger up as I have a new stitch on my needle. So I'm going to insert my needle up and through that stitch, grab that piece of yarn, pull it down through that loop, slide the existing stitch off. And this is the knit stitch. I'm going to continue working all the way across. So I have seen people wrap and then they hold on to push it through. You can do that. I find it easiest to just grab that strand of yarn. You can just pick it up. So sometimes with Continental knitting we call it picking, whereas English method would be throwing, because you throw the yarn around your needle with your right hand. So that's the Continental method. I'm going to show you one more time as I work across this row. You get a better grip on that yarn. So I've inserted my needle into that first stitch, and now I'm just grabbing that piece of yarn, pulling it through. So I'm picking it up and pulling it through. Picking it up and pulling it through. You'll also notice that I'm keeping my knitting needles close together. Okay, if I do this to try to tighten my stitches, I'm working against myself, because actually what I'm going to do is loosen all of these stitches, and that won't look very nice. So you want to remember to keep your needles close together. If you need to tighten a stitch, you want to pull on this piece of yarn. Just gently tighten. But as you're knitting, be sure that you stay relaxed to keep those stitches loose. If you make these loops too tight, you won't be able to work into them when you turn your work. So that's the Continental method of knitting. I hope you'll give it a try.